Hi guys. So as I imagine many people are feeling right now, my heart is so incredibly heavy. I'm having such a mental health day today, like a really bad one. I think I've mentioned before, like I feel a lot of things, but I struggle to put words to them, to speak it. I feel like I'm a bit better once I've collected my thoughts in writing things. And I think that's probably why it's taken me so long to actually come on video and just ramble on. I have been speaking about the situation at the minute, Black Lives Matter and everything, a little bit on my Instagram and Twitter, and I shared an experience on there, which I might talk about here as well. But like, it's just everything's happening all at once, and I saw this really cool, like, not meme, but you know, one of those text pictures thing that said maybe 2020 shouldn't be cancelled, you know, this is the year where we could, everything crap happens, but it happens for us to learn and grow, basically along those lines. So I just hope it turns out that way. But for me personally, obviously I can't speak for everyone, I think just with COVID happening at the minute, everybody is feeling the stress of not being able to see loved ones. I know in my country things are lifting a little bit. I don't know about the state of everything once this video goes up, because I just don't have the energy right now to like edit anymore. If you see a few videos, like not back to back, but like uploaded before this one, it's because I had the energy a couple of weeks ago or whatever to edit like 3 in a day, and then I just scheduled them. But I don't know when I'm going to get the time to edit this or the energy or whatever. But I don't even know what I was saying then. I've lost my train of thought. I can't remember what I was saying. But yeah, so with everybody's just like struggling at the minute, and so that's on my mind. I've had to work throughout all of it because I'm classed as a key worker, and then everything with George Floyd happened. It's just, it's weird because I'm reading a book at a minute, and I will be talking about books. Obviously my channel is predominantly a booktube channel, so I will be talking about that in a minute. But a book that I'm currently reading, I feel like I'm resonating so much with it, because the girl, not in every aspect, but basically the main character in that is brought up in a mainly white area. She goes to a very good school, and she feels in a way that she's detached from what's happening, like brutalities, police brutality and race hate. Basically she feels detached to it because she's not living that, she's not seeing it daily, she's not exposed to it. And in a sense that's kind of how I grew up. Like, I feel very fortunate that I can count on maybe one hand how many racist events has happened to me personally. Very fortunate, not many at all. I grew up in a predominantly white area. I went to, I feel like, a good school, but most of the ethnicity was Caucasian. But I feel like I've never really faced any prejudice against me, except this one point where she says in this book that it's like a casual racism that you kind of grow numb to. You're so used to it you don't even realise that it's racist until you, I guess for me personally, broaden your experience, you know, see what other people are talking about, go to different areas, and you're like, hold on a minute, that's not nice. And you know at the time, okay, yeah, maybe it's because of how these people around you have grown up and they think that's okay, or like for example, like, it's so weird, this is such a rambly video, I'm so sorry, but for example, like, people that says coloured, I don't like that term. Like, my mum always brought me up saying that's not a nice term to use, or half caste, not a nice term at all. Even my grandparents at one point used to say coloured, and that I feel is a generational thing. You know, they're in their late 80s, and I remember my mum one time having to say, why are you saying that, like that's such a derogative term? And they were like, oh, like it's just what they were used to hearing and how they thought they should refer to themselves. So things like that is what I mean, like that sort of subtle racism that you don't even, well, I didn't even blink an eyelid at until I realised that it wasn't right. But anyway, back to that, like all that happening. And then for me personally, tomorrow actually marks the day the 1 year since my mum passed away. So I'm just in a really shitty place at the minute. And of course you've got all the other external elements of, you know, COVID happening, the horrible, just seeing so much hatred in the world. It's just it's not nice. So yeah, I was trying to wrap my head around how I wanted to talk about these sort of things and what sort of video I wanted to bring across. And I still don't know, so it's going to be a rambly one, I'm afraid. I don't even have like a being black on booktube sort of video, because I have not experienced, like, I can't say that I've noticed anything for me personally about being black on booktube. Like, I'm not a big channel anyway, so I feel like I've not noticed anything. Like, I know as you grow you get like nasty comments and stuff like that, and I've had a few horrible racist comments before that I've just deleted. Like, back when I used to do really random videos, I used to argue back with people. I feel like I've lost that. If I see anything that sounds nasty now, I delete it. But when I was younger, and I think this is because I don't know, I don't even know how to kind of form my thoughts, but when I was younger I was quite strong in the fact that I would kind of bite people's heads off if they did the wrong thing. If they said my name wrong, I would bite people's heads off. My mum's friends used to call me like the little Rottweiler, because I was quite vicious in my approach. And then just as I grew up, I noticed, why am I talking to people like that? You don't need to be shouting at people unnecessarily. And then I got really shy, and I stopped kind of speaking out for myself. But at the background I always had my mum there that I could talk to, and she was always like my little cheerleader, and she was sort of there, like, she would stand up for me and things like that. And now not having her, I almost notice how weak I am in speaking up about things that bother me. And that needs to change, you know, it really does. As a black person, I need to change. I need to speak out about things that is not just happening to me, but happening to other people that maybe can't stand up for themselves, you know. So again, particularly with the Black Lives Matter movement, I have been doing things. I've been donating. I've not been protesting. Personally for me, I've found it difficult. I'm still working in this pandemic at the minute. I have extreme anxiety. I know that's coming across as excuses, and it probably is, but I'm not going out protesting personally. But I am doing other things, you know. And it's one of those things again where I have noticed that I feel uncomfortable talking about things like this. But why should I? I know it's because, not that I've not necessarily been exposed to this, like my mum was always very open talking to me about things like this, but it's because I've not had the actual first-hand experience maybe that makes me uncomfortable, and I don't have the confidence that I used to have as a little girl, where I could just blankly speak out that that's not right, you know, don't say that, you know. Now I feel so, because I'm so in tune to other people's feelings and emotions, I'm always so worried about what the other person feels, what they're thinking. I try my best not to hurt people's opinions, which I think is a good trait in a person. But when it comes to something like this, and something so unjust and just wrong, I need to change that, and I need to go back to my young self where I spoke up for things like that. So that's just my thoughts there. Let me just collect myself and talk to you a little bit about some books that I'm going to try and push, no, not that I'm going to try, that I am going to push to the forefront. So some of these books, hold on, I just need a little minute. I didn't even know. I know there's so much that I've not like properly expressed, but again, I feel like I've written them out to the best of my ability of how I was feeling, and shared those elsewhere. So yeah, this is just going to be the best I can make for YouTube. yeah, so let me just take a minute. I kind of thought that I wanted this to be a reading vlog, but I don't think I'm going to be doing that now, just because as well it would just be for this day, because I know tomorrow I'm not going to be able to cope with personal things going on and that. But I want, if I was doing a reading vlog video, I would have wanted it to at least been a full weekend, but I just know this weekend is not the weekend right now, what with me currently grieving and stuff like that. So my mind's just not going to be in it, you know, I'm not going to be focused or enjoying it. So I thought I would just come and talk to you about books. And do you know what the sad thing is? Looking at my shelves, again, as a black woman, most of my shelf, there's hardly any black people, black authors on it, and that's terrible. So I've collected some of the books that I currently own that I've not read by black authors about black people and situations. Oh, I've forgotten one that I'm really excited about. I'll be right back. Okay, I've got it. It's so chilly. Ooh. So what was I saying? These are books that I am, some of these actually were on my my summer TBR anyway. They are predominantly fiction books. If you've been on my channel a lot, you'll know that I really rarely ever read non-fiction. I know that's something I need to change, just because it's good to educate yourself. You know, I don't know everything, I don't claim to know everything, and you can't rely on someone else to teach you things. You have to go out there and experience it and look up, you know, show the initiative to look for yourself and understand things. And I need to do more of that as well. So I will be, you know, motivating myself to pick up more non-fiction of things that, you know, really matter, that I need to know more about in the coming weeks, months, years, eternity, you know. So yeah, I guess let's start. So one of the books that I'm currently reading is on here. It is a book that I got through NetGalley. NetGalley seems to be really amplifying their black authors, which I'm really enjoying. I know quite a few companies at the minute are under line and fire. Is it Pull Up or Shut Up? And you know, things like that. So from what I can see surface level, NetGalley seems to really be quite inclusive in its ethnicity of people that it pushes, you know, their books and stuff. So yeah, right now I'm just getting up the synopsis on Goodreads so that I can give you more of an accurate understanding of what the book's about. And this is the one that I was talking about earlier when I was saying I felt quite connected to the character. So I'm currently reading up here The Black Kids by Christina Hammond Reid. And I've only started it within the last couple of days. I think I'm about 23% in. And so far I'm absolutely loving it. It says it's perfect for fans for the hate you give. It's like a coming of age story of race, class and violence through the eyes of a wealthy black teenager whose family gets caught in the vortex of the 1992 Rodney King riots. I know nothing about that, which is really sad. Like, even when you look into schools, as a black British person, in my schools we learn a lot about world wars and stuff, Tudors, kings and stuff, but it always glazed over anything to do with slavery. I had this one teacher that really tried to give us the most he could with the module and the curriculum that he had. And he was one of my favourite teachers. He was a history teacher, obviously, but you could almost see, this is just me casting my mind back, you could almost see the frustration that there wasn't enough of this within the curriculum. Hopefully this changes. So yeah, Los Angeles, 1992. Ashley Bennett and her friends are living the charmed life. It's the end of senior year and they're spending more time at the beach than in the classroom. They can already feel the sunny days and endless possibilities of summer. Everything changes one afternoon in April when 4 LAPD officers are acquitted after beating a black man named Rodney King half to death. Suddenly, Ashley's not just one of the girls, she's one of the black kids. As violent protests engulf LA and the city burns, Ashley tries to continue on as if life were normal. even as her self-destructive sister gets dangerously involved in the riots, even as the model black family facade her wealthy and prominent parents have built starts to crumble, even as her best friend's help spread a rumour that could completely derail the future of her classmate and fellow black kid, LaShawn Johnson. With her world splintering around her, Ashley, along with the rest of LA, is left to question who is with us and who is with them. So I am very much enjoying this at the minute. Again, I'm very early into the story, but you can already see the sort of division, unfortunately, that Ashley sees between her and her friends. And you can feel the tension as that's escalating, as she becomes to care and see how people treat people like her, just because of skin colour, just because of they think it's a threat, you know. Yeah, I've also recently got How to Be Anti-Racist. I'm hoping to start that sooner rather than later, but I've got quite a few physical books. I'm more of a physical book reader than an ebook, but one of my reading goals this year is to pick up more of my NetGalley reads and stuff like that. And obviously it's such an easy resource, particularly now with all the libraries shut, because I would be utilising my library for some of the books that I haven't got, and you know, trying to support the library in that way, but also picking up things, especially when it comes to non-fiction that I don't read a lot of. That to me is a good utilisation of the library. So yeah, unfortunately I can't do that right now, but hopefully NetGalley for me at the minute can be that sort of resource. So yes, I know quite a few people are reading this at the minute. One of the big sort of phrases being used is, amongst all of this chaos and mayhem, is it's not good enough to be non-racist, you need to be anti-racist, against it all completely, wanting to abolish it. I don't even understand why it's still part of the society, to be fair. This is by Arbery X Kendi. So it says here, in this book, Kendi weaves together an electrifying combination of ethics, history, law and science, bringing it all together with an engaging personal narrative of his own awakening to anti-racism. How to Be an Anti-Racist is an essential work for anyone who wants to go beyond an awareness of racism to the next step, contributing to the formation of a truly just and equitable society. That sounds phenomenal, and I will hopefully, once I finish this ebook, perhaps that will be the next one I pick up. But I've also downloaded a few other books about, you know, black literature, black history, that sort of stuff. So it'd be nice to sort of mince through those. I do find it takes me longer to read non-fiction usually, again just because it's not the pace that I'm used to. Just generally, you know, when you come from fantasy reading to non-fiction, it's a bit jarring for me personally, so it might be a slower read for these, but we will get to them nevertheless. One of the next things actually I'm hoping to pick up today is this one. I've been putting this off for ages, for no real reason really, but it is A Brief History of 7 Killings by Marlon James, and it was the Man Booker Prize winner of 2015. And this is about, I believe it is a fictional story, and I think this is why it keeps confusing me. It doesn't need to be confusing. It's basically about the 7 gunmen that stormed into Bob Marley's house attempting to murder him. And then I believe it splits into kind of their stories and people that are involved with it in some way. Yeah, drug lords, one night stands, girlfriends, gunmen, journalists, even the CIA, and it goes into these lives of these characters. And yeah, I have another book by this author that I'll show you now that I really want to get to, but for some reason in my head I want to read this first. This is in my head that I want to get to first. The other book by Marlon James is Black Leopard and Red Wolf, Volume 1 of the Dark Star trilogy. This one I got pretty soon, as soon as it came out. I remember we went to Westfield and went to Foyles, I believe, in Westfield, and I picked this up. It just looked amazing. And yeah, you know, I say I'm a fantasy reader predominantly. I want to read more literature written, you know, just fantasy stories, I would say romance, but I don't really read romance, you know, YA contemporaries, YA other stories, just written by black people, about black people doing normal everyday things as well as fantastical, awesome, amazing things, you know. I need to read more and I don't know why. I don't know. See, even myself, I need to do better. I can learn, you know. It's not wrong to learn, it's wrong to know you're wrong and not try to do anything about it, you know. So, Tracker is a hunter known throughout the 13 kingdoms as one who has a nose, and he always works alone. But he breaks his own rule when hired to find a lost child who finds himself part of a group of hunters all searching for the same boy. Each of these companions is stranger and more dangerous than the last, from a giant to a witch to a shape-shifting leopard, and each has secrets of their own. As the mismatched gang follow the boy's scent from perfumed citadels to infested rivers, to the enchanted darklands and beyond, set upon at every turn by creatures intent on destroying them, Tracker starts to wonder, who is the mysterious boy? Why do so many people want to stop him being found? And most important of all, who is telling the truth and who is lying? Drawing from African history and mythology and his own rich imagination, Marlon James weaves a tapestry of breathtaking adventure through a world at once ancient and startlingly modern. And against this exhilarating backdrop of magic and violence, he explores the fundamentals of truth, the limits of power, the excesses of ambition, and our need to understand them all. Exciting. These books, I kind of have in my head that I want to do a video, kind of just a reading vlog, where I basically, this is the idea that I've had in my head all this time for some reason. I just want to read these together. Not necessarily to say which is better, not that sort of thing. I just think they'd be a really cool reading experience. Both epic fantasy written by black people, inspired by African mythologies and histories. I think it would be really cool just to kind of read them together, in a sense. Not like side by side. I struggle to read too many like fantasies together at the same time, if that makes sense. I have to read kind of different, very obviously different genres, like, or sub-genres together, otherwise I get a bit confused. But like, read one, start the other, do you know what I mean? But in the same reading vlog. So of course the other one is Tommy Adeyemi's Children of Blood and Bone. And this, I would just say, has been described to me as like Avatar, as in Aang the Last Airbender, which I absolutely love. Very powerful at the back, which I think is such a very influential phrase that can be taken for now, and that is, they killed my mother, they took our magic, they tried to bury us, now we rise. Has there ever been more of an influential text? I think not. Jump into, actually no, what I'll do is I'll finish this fiction part and then I'll talk about some of the non-fiction I have. I think that works out well. So we've got Girl, Woman, Other. As you guys know, this was also on my summer TBR by Bernardine Evaristo, and this is following like a trio of trios, I believe. I think there are 3, if I'm correct, stories of 3 women, predominantly black, and they all weave and connect somehow eventually. So we've got some scenes from Newcastle 1905, we've got Cornwall 1553, London 1980, Oxford 2008, Northumberland 2017, and they're all like just little snippets of life for these people, and just how they eventually connect. And it was the joint book prize winner of 2019. So my little puny tiny stack of non-fiction really did it. I told you I'm not much of a non-fiction person. I don't read a lot of non-fiction, but I need to change that and pick up a few here and there. So we've got Rennie Edo-Lodge's Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race. This one, I've been wanting to read this for forever, basically. I think it looks, looking at text and stuff, it looks very readable to me for a non-fiction book, and like the text doesn't come all the way to the pages, you know, just little details like that that usually makes it a struggle for me personally. But this, I believe, is like a essay format. Oh wow, I really like this. Like a newspaper sort of thing. Wow, I think everyone knows what this is about, and the name is quite explanatory. Soon. I think this one, alongside the History of 7 Killings, are the ones that I'll pick up as my physical books next. Okay, and then we've got this one. And do you know why? The reason I actually haven't picked this one up, it was actually my mum's book that I decided to keep. I haven't read this one because it's too sad. Well, history is sad. You got to know these things. Black history is horrifying, you know. It's very sad. There's a lot of things in the world that are sad, but I can't become naive to it. I cannot become ignorant to it. I need to learn. I need to push through this sadness and grasp it and learn and grow. And that is Solomon Northup's 12 Years a Slave, a True Story. Everyone knows, I believe, what this is about, but if you don't, there's a movie based on this as well, so perhaps I'll do a movie and book review when I get to it. But it's 1841. Solomon Northup is a successful violinist when he is kidnapped and sold into slavery, taken from his family in New York State and forced to work on the cotton plantations in the Deep South. He spends the next 12 years in captivity until his eventual escape. It's got that hope, that uplifting, but in the back of my head I'm thinking, what happened to him, what happened to his family, you know, did they find each other? And that just pushes me off, because I get so overwhelmed with emotions day to day. Imagine reading something like this, that I will read it. And lastly, something that I know is a chunky one and it will take me forever to read. And again, it's one that my mum was reading. She got to page 16 or 17. She's got a little car park ticket that she used as a bookmark. And that is Black and British, A Forgotten History by David Olusoga. I probably should have checked before on how to pronounce his name. Doesn't come naturally to me generally, honestly. I should learn more. But yes, in Black and British, David tells the rich and revealing story of the long relationship between British Isles and the people of Africa and the Caribbean. I really quite like that, actually, because instantly people say, I know everyone sort of descends from Africa, but everyone instantly thinks that's just your ethnicity, that's your origin. But I'm Caribbean. My grandparents on my mum's side came over from Jamaica, and my dad was born in Jamaica, but his mum's Cuban, and there's also Scottish. I think his granddad is Scottish. So I am Jamaican, Cuban, Scottish. If you were ever interested, I would love to take one of those DNA ancestry things to see what else, because this is just stuff I've been told, and honestly my mum was the main source of that sort of information, and now I don't have that, so I need to kind of find out some more stuff if I'm ever interested. But yeah, it's a story that reaches back to Roman Britain, to Elizabethan blackamoors and the global slave trading empire. Black Britons fought at Trafalgar and in the trenches of both world wars, while the great industrial boom of the 19th century was built on American slavery. Black British history is woven into the cultural and economic histories of the nation. It is not a singular story, but one that belongs to us all. And again, I think it will bring to light some of the deeds that Britain has done, because you always have that undertone of, oh, Britain's not that bad in terms of like its blackness or what it did to black people, because America is such the forefront of slavery and all that sort of stuff. But I know for us, particularly at school, you just don't hear it. You don't hear what the British people did. You don't dwell on the bad parts of all the colonisations that we did as a country back in the day, and even now if you think about it. So yeah, much needed, important read, as all of these are. I guess that really wraps up this video. I'm sorry it was so all over the place. As I said earlier, I just really struggle to speak when I feel such great emotions, such painful emotions it's just all in my head, and it hurts because I can't get it out, you know. But yes, please let me know what books you would recommend. Just because these are the ones I'm showing you, these are the books that I haven't read that I personally own. I have read other things, like other books I'd recommend. For example, I really want to say, check out Pet by Ahmaud. That one is so good. It's only tiny, and it's about monsters coming back into St. Lucia after they thought all the monsters were gone. We're following a beautiful girl. She is a transgender girl. She is a very quiet character. She is a selective mute. It is a really good read. Yeah, so I'll speak to you in the next video. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my rambly, emotional thoughts. That's all we need to do. We need to listen to each other and learn and grow, respect each other, make a change happen. Justice needs to be served, and we can do that.